The day a wealthy young woman walked into a dusty block molding yard, nobody imagined that her simple act of kindness would uncover one of the greatest secrets in the city. She saw a tired man struggling beneath the weight of debt, humiliation, and responsibility, and instead of looking away, she decided to help him. What she did not know was that the poor laborer she was about to save had a hidden identity so powerful that even her billionaire father would have been stunned to learn the truth. Before we begin, if you believe that kindness can change a person's life and that everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in humanity, and subscribe to Humanity Tales for more inspiring stories. The man was named Daniel Carter. Every morning before sunrise, he arrived at a small block molding yard on the edge of the city. His clothes were always covered in cement dust, his hands were rough from years of labor, and his old boots had been repaired so many times that nobody remembered what they originally looked like. Daniel worked harder than everyone else, but somehow poverty always seemed to follow him. He had borrowed money months earlier to pay for his mother's medical treatment and to keep the little business running after several customers failed to pay him. The debt had grown until the lender gave him only a few days to settle it. If he failed, he would lose the yard, his equipment, and the small home where his elderly mother lived. Daniel never complained. He simply worked longer. On that particular afternoon, he was mixing cement beneath the scorching sun when several workers noticed a luxurious white SUV approaching the yard. A beautifully dressed woman stepped out. Her name was Amelia Bennett, the only daughter of billionaire businessman Richard Bennett. Amelia had grown up surrounded by wealth, but unlike many people in her position, she had never forgotten the lessons her late mother had taught her about compassion. She had come to the neighborhood because one of her father's companies was considering funding a community housing project nearby. As Amelia walked through the dusty yard, she noticed Daniel sitting alone beside a stack of unfinished blocks. His shoulders were lowered, and for the first time that day, he had stopped working. She asked one of the workers what was wrong. At first, nobody wanted to answer, but eventually they explained that Daniel was drowning in debt and might lose everything within days. Amelia looked toward him. There was something about the way he stared at the ground that touched her heart. He wasn't begging anyone. He wasn't asking for sympathy. He was simply trying to accept the possibility that years of hard work might disappear overnight. Amelia quietly asked how much he owed. When she heard the amount, she was shocked by how relatively small it was compared with the fortunes she had seen discussed at her father's dinner table. Without making a spectacle of it, Amelia settled Daniel's entire debt. The yard became silent. Daniel could barely believe what had happened. He had expected another humiliating conversation with his lender, not a stranger paying the debt that had kept him awake every night. Amelia also paid for several bags of cement and helped arrange a small contract through a local community project so Daniel could keep working. Daniel thanked her repeatedly, but Amelia simply told him that someday he should help someone else in the same way. She left without asking for anything in return. What Amelia didn't know was that Daniel had not always been a poor block molder. Years earlier, Daniel Carter had founded a technology and infrastructure company with an idea that transformed construction across several continents. His company had eventually become one of the world's largest privately controlled enterprises. But after a devastating betrayal within his family, Daniel had walked away from the corporate world. He transferred control of his fortune to a private trust, disappeared from public life, and chose to live anonymously while observing how people treated someone they believed had nothing. He had more money than anyone in the world knew about. Yet he wanted to discover whether kindness still existed when nobody was watching. For years, Daniel had lived quietly and worked among ordinary people. He had deliberately allowed himself to be treated as a struggling laborer because he wanted to understand the lives of people who depended on daily wages. He had seen greed, dishonesty, and cruelty, but he had also witnessed small acts of generosity that restored his faith in humanity. Amelia's kindness affected him differently. She hadn't helped him because she wanted publicity. She hadn't asked for his name, his connections, or anything in return. She had simply seen a person in trouble and decided that his suffering mattered. Several weeks later, Amelia was invited to a private meeting at her father's headquarters. Richard Bennett was preparing to sign a massive international construction partnership. When Amelia entered the conference room, she froze. At the head of the table sat Daniel. But he was no longer wearing dusty work clothes. He wore a perfectly tailored suit, surrounded by senior executives, lawyers, and financial advisors. Behind him was a presentation displaying the logo of the world's most powerful private investment empire. Richard introduced the mysterious businessman as Daniel Carter, the founder and principal owner of the company they were preparing to partner with. Amelia's face went pale. She suddenly realized that the man whose debt she had paid was not a struggling laborer at all. He was the richest man on earth. Daniel looked at her and smiled. He told everyone in the room that the partnership would proceed, but there was one condition. His company would invest billions into affordable housing, worker-owned businesses, hospitals, and vocational training programs. He explained that Amelia had reminded him why wealth should exist in the first place, not to make one person feel superior to another, but to give people opportunities when life had pushed them down. Richard stared at his daughter with pride. Amelia had expected Daniel to repay her financially, but he refused to treat kindness like a transaction. Instead, he offered her an opportunity to lead a new foundation dedicated to helping struggling families build stable futures. Months later, the old block molding yard had completely changed. The workers had proper equipment, Daniel's debt-free business had expanded, and dozens of young people were receiving training. The community that had once been forgotten became the first chapter of a much larger transformation. Daniel never forgot the afternoon Amelia had handed him money beside his dusty wheelbarrow. To the world, he was the richest man alive. But in his heart, that day taught him something money could never purchase. Kindness had no price tag. And sometimes, the person you help when you think they have nothing may be the very person capable of changing your entire world. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Humanity Tales. Your support helps these stories reach more people who believe that kindness still matters. And before the story ends, comment, "Kindness always wins," if you believe that helping someone without expecting anything in return can change a life. Because Amelia thought she was saving a poor man from losing his business. In reality, she had reminded the richest man on earth why he had become rich in the first place.